Have you ever noticed how it's always the same story? You want to talk to someone, but you don't. You want to start a project, but you put it off. You want to make a decision, but you freeze. Then you blame yourself, calling yourself weak, indecisive, a coward. But what if the problem isn't you? What if something unseen is controlling your actions without your awareness? In 1645, Hayato Fujimori finished writing the Book of Five Rings while living alone in a cave. He fought over 60 duels and never lost. He didn't win because he was the strongest, but because he understood fear in a way most people never will. Fear isn't your enemy. Fear is a prison, and too often we mistake the bars for who we are. Today, you'll discover how Musashi broke free and how you can follow his path, starting now. The story centers on a man named Takumi, not the Takumi you might have seen before, but a different version. A 32-year-old businessman, intelligent, articulate, but paralyzed by fear whenever he faced an important decision. It wasn't laziness, it wasn't lack of information. It was a deep, visceral tension in his chest that stopped him cold. Hiring a new employee, ending a draining relationship, making a risky business call, every decision seemed simple, yet the gap between knowing and acting was unbridgeable. Takumi thought he was weak, until he encountered Musashi's insight. There is no fear of the unknown, only fear of losing what is familiar. Suddenly, Takumi understood he wasn't avoiding decisions out of cowardice. He was clinging to comfort, even when that comfort was toxic. Musashi observed that most people live trapped in a pattern he called Shin no Mi, the path of the hesitant mind. The cycle is simple, yet relentless. First comes impulse, you know what needs to be done. Then comes fear, not of immediate danger, but of discomfort, judgment, or regret. Next comes negotiation. I'll wait, prepare, think it over. Negotiation is fear, wearing a rational mask. Then postponement. Temporary relief floods the brain, reinforcing inaction. Then guilt sets in, slowly building emotional weight, making the next decision harder. The cycle repeats, stronger each time. Takumi had lived this pattern for years, until he realized the way out wasn't by fighting fear, but by changing his relationship to it. Your brain, Takumi discovered, is wired to keep you alive, not happy. Millions of years of evolution trained it to stay in the familiar because the familiar hasn't killed you yet. But in modern life, threats are different. Not making a difficult call won't kill you today, but it can destroy your business in 6 months. Avoiding a painful conversation may not be fatal, but it can drain your soul over years. Fear reacts the same way to imagined danger as it does to real danger, and it rewards avoidance. Understanding the problem wasn't enough. Takumi needed a solution, and Musashi offered one. Mushin, the mindless mind. Imagine a life-or-death duel. Swords drawn. Hesitation is fatal. Musashi fought his first duel at 13 and killed an experienced adult samurai. How? He acted before his mind could interfere. For 60 duels, the same truth held. Hesitation, not skill, is what kills. Mushin is the state of being fully present, free from calculation or fear, ready to act decisively. It isn't achieved by meditation alone. It is trained through deliberate action. Takumi applied this principle immediately. He identified 3 decisions he had been avoiding for months. First, he had to fire a friend who wasn't performing. Second, he had to end a draining relationship. Third, he needed to call an investor with a high-stakes request. In each case, Takumi acted before his mind had a chance to hesitate. He didn't rehearse or plan. He simply initiated. Fear arrived, but it came too late to control him. He discovered something profound. Discomfort passes when action precedes fear. The second step was familiarization. Musashi wrote that one should become familiar with death every day, not to be morbid, but to remove fear from decision-making. Takumi translated this into modern life. Familiarize yourself with rejection, failure, embarrassment. Exposure without catastrophe trains the nervous system. Small actions build confidence. Asking for a discount, talking to a stranger, expressing an unpopular opinion online, each small exposure showed Takumi that discomfort is not danger. Over 30 days, the chest-tightening fear weakened. By the end, he stood on a stage in front of 200 people and spoke imperfectly but unshakably, having moved through the fear rather than waiting for it to vanish. Musashi also taught the principle of the everyday mind. Don't reserve calm and focus for special moments. Approach meetings, presentations, and challenges with the same alert presence you bring to ordinary life. No rituals, no hype. Treat high-stakes situations as routine. Takumi adopted this, and the result was extraordinary. By removing anticipatory anxiety, he was calmer, more present, and able to act fluidly under pressure. Breaking the cycle of fear, Takumi discovered, comes with consequences. People around you may feel uncomfortable with your decisiveness. You may be called reckless or cold, but the alternative is remaining trapped, constantly negotiating with fear. Real transformation requires letting go of old identities, the part of you that wants to be loved, the part that avoids discomfort, the part that seeks guarantees. Takumi experienced this when ending relationships and delegating responsibilities. Painful as it was, it allowed him to grow. 6 months later, his business was thriving, his hours reduced, and he acted with courage, not avoidance. Musashi spent his later years in isolation, writing, painting, sculpting, having transcended the need to prove anything. His message was simple: safety is an illusion. Avoiding discomfort postpones the inevitable challenges of life. Fear accumulates, grows, and compounds if ignored. But action, even in the face of fear, transforms you. Takumi wasn't perfect. He still felt fear, but he no longer let it control him. Each day, he chose action, and in doing so, he reclaimed his life. The question isn't whether you feel fear. It always exists. The question is whether you will allow it to decide for you. Every moment of hesitation is lost ground. Every avoided conversation, postponed change, or risk untaken is a step deeper into the cage. The choice is yours. Obey fear or act anyway. Takumi, Musashi, and countless others teach the same truth. Courage isn't absence of fear, it's action in spite of it. The fear you feel today is the key to freedom. You just need the courage to take the first step.